And Sam Darnold has been all up, really no downs in his new tenure with the Panthers. And going to take us down to the 2-minute warning here.
This moment right here is the height of Sam Darnold and the Carolina Panthers 2021 season. Darnold's going to get sacked the next play, and the Panthers season is going to completely fall apart. But for now, Carolina is 3-0 through 3 weeks, and they're up 1 heading into halftime in Dallas against the Cowboys team many considered to be a contender. And the main story was that their quarterback, after years of toiling away with the New York Jets, was finally putting it all together in Charlotte. Fox Sports actually led with a Sam Darnold story before kickoff. It was the same narrative being peddled by the talking suits at ESPN as well, that everything might turn out just fine for the fourth-year QB out of USC after all, that the Jets, the team that drafted him in 2018, had simply mismanaged a future star. And that narrative was easy to believe. Darnold truthers could point to 2019, where, despite appearing in only 13 games for New York that year, he helped lead the team to all 7 of their wins and their best finish since 2015. Or they could look at the Jets' helplessness without him. Throughout his 3-year tenure in New York, the Jets lost all 10 games in which he didn't play. And if we fast forward back to Week 4, 2021, the Panthers think they're seeing who Sam Darnold really is. From a per-game stats perspective, Darnold was on track to have a career year, throwing for over 60 more yards each contest than he ever had, and significantly improving in both accuracy and decision-making. At this point in time, the Panthers are probably feeling pretty good about trading 3 draft picks over the next 2 years to get him. They may have even felt validated in deciding to pick up the 5th-year option on his contract early that offseason, guaranteeing they'd pay him through the next season as well, something they very much did not need to do. But they weren't alone in their excitement. Seriously, the Fox Sports crew was gushing over Darnold to start this game. Listen in.
Sam Darnold and how they feel about him here in Carolina after getting out of New York, and the numbers show it. He looks like the guy we saw at USC.
He does, and this is what everyone thought he always could be, right? He looks.
And so it seems showing Sam Darmaged Goods some love early on was going a long way.
So the Panthers say, yeah, 3-0's for real. We'll show you.
One reason I find this Cowboys game so fascinating is just for how the first half almost perfectly encapsulates the Panthers and Darnold's first 3 games of the season. For example, Darnold's sneaky mobility was getting noticed throughout the beginning of the 2021 season, thanks in large part to his league-leading 3 rushing touchdowns at quarterback heading into this game. In the first half of this one, he actually scored both of Carolina's touchdowns with his feet. The second touchdown here, in particular, does a good job of showcasing just how he uses his athleticism. While he doesn't have the traits of a Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray or other rushing quarterbacks, he uses his intelligence and shiftiness to take advantage of defenses who don't think he'll leave the pocket. So here's a quarterback-designed run that Darnold just executes extremely well. His running back is going to motion over to the left side, so Darnold's going to watch what those linebackers do in front of him. Once he sees them motion over to the exact same side and laser focus in on his running back for that screen fake, he knows the other side of the field is open to take off with. You can see it really well on the other angle. So once he gets to the top of his drop, everyone's eyes and bodies are shifted over there, the A gap is open, and he is going to launch himself through it. Nobody expects Darnold to run right now, which is why Diggs is looking over here saying, wait, who'd he throw it to? Darnold's actually going to let him know nobody and give him a little love tap on his way in for the touchdown. But of course, Darnold's only going to stick around in this league if he can also make plays with his arm. Throughout the first 3 seasons in New York, he was labeled as skittish, with his infamous paranormal sightings in New England branding him as a guy who can let pressure get to him and miss stuff post-snap.
Seeing ghosts.
Seeing ghosts. That's not good.
For the first 3 weeks in 2021, he looked more confident, throwing only 1 pick. And it was really more of a fumble, on a wild shovel pass while getting taken down in New Orleans. In a lot of ways though, it looked like Darnold was turning a corner. Here, in a high-leverage 3rd down in the first half of the Dallas game, Darnold makes one of my favorite plays of his ever. Let's set the stage. The Cowboys had just come down the field to score again, on their 2nd possession in a row, to take a 13-7 lead. Carolina can't get anything going on their first 2 plays, and actually commit a holding penalty on 2nd down. But Dallas, rather than push the Panthers back 10 yards for a 2nd and 22, elected to decline the penalty and force Darnold to convert a 3rd and 12. They're daring him to make a play here. And Darnold ends up making them pay. Let's see what they did here. The Panthers start this play by putting their running back in motion. Once nobody on the defense really moves, we can assume we're probably seeing a version of zone coverage, and Darnold has 3 hook routes to beat it. And the ones on the left side are probably his better bet because he only has 2 defenders to defend each receiver, while on the other side, there's 2 defenders to defend just 1. So, when Sam drops back, he's going to be watching these 2 defenders to see what they do and which route they favor. Once he sees this cornerback take a step inside and this safety continue moving backwards, he knows Robbie Anderson is his only option for the first down, and he throws this ball with a ton of torque to get it into a very tight window. This is when Darnold looks like a star, in the flow of things, playing confidently and with a fearlessness. I mean, check out this time capsule from the broadcast. As Darnold and Prescott's games are compared, commentator Greg Olsen says of Darnold,
"Whatever you can do, I can do better," kind of thing.
There you go. First down.
But this wasn't really crazy commentary at the time. Darnold and the Panthers were feeling themselves. They weren't scared of anyone, and they were proving it, even attacking Diggs here with the hook route for the first down. For Carolina and Darnold, life is good. I mean, just look at this happy Sam Darnold face. Let's just take a moment to appreciate that. Okay, moment over. Here's the play right after the 2-minute warning, after Greg Olsen has just said it's been nothing but ups for Darnold. Maybe we should have known then that the downfall was coming. The Panthers quickly fell behind 2 touchdowns after missing a long field goal and going 3 and out on their first 2 possessions to start the half. After starting the third with a lead, they were suddenly desperate to make something happen. Darnold does make something happen, but it's about the last thing anyone would have hoped for in Carolina. So let's break down what happens here. After the receiver motions and the corner follows him, the Panthers can reasonably assume the Cowboys are in a man coverage. Only, spoiler alert, they're not. See, these guys here, the ones that look like they're blitzing, they're going to drop back into a zone and cover that intermediate part of the field. Darnold, however, after these guys drop, continues to trust what he sees pre-snap, or he's simply not processing what the defense is doing. If we give him the benefit of the doubt, I think he believes Diggs is covering DJ Moore here in man, and so he'll follow him over to the right sideline and clear space for Robbie Anderson's route. Only, spoiler alert part 2, Diggs is playing a robber role and sits right where he is. Darnold's pass, then, never has a chance. I think you could live in a world where you believe Darnold could have made a better play here. I mean, there's a world where he doesn't get hit right before he throws and has an extra second to see the go route coming open just beyond where he actually ends up going with it. But at this point, I think you might be labeled as delusional. We saw some of these same kinds of processing errors with Darnold throughout the rest of the year, where he trusts his eyes pre-snap and then seemingly just goes into autopilot. Here's another example against the Eagles, where Darnold seems to trust what he's seeing pre-snap too much. Keep your eyes on this safety here. He's going to keep backing up before Carolina snaps it, and I think Darnold believes he's just going to continue going into a deep zone. And when we look over to that same side of the field, we see the corner lined up on the receiver facing towards the line, which tells us he's likely in zone coverage trying to keep everything in front of him. And that's exactly what the Panthers want for this go route. Darnold's going to lock in on this matchup, and once he sees the receiver go past the corner's back, he's going to throw a pretty decent pass here, only he's totally neglected what that safety's actually doing. He's run over here to give his cornerback a safety net where he can make this really incredible play. And even if he doesn't, this receiver is going to get lit up. But for as many plays as you can sort of explain what Darnold could have been thinking or seeing, there's almost as many as you really can't. Like this one against the Giants in Week 7. He really just kind of throws it up for anyone. After throwing just one wild interception through 3 games, Darnold threw 12 through his last 8. Defenses began learning where he wanted to go. And after halftime of that Cowboys game, it seemed Diggs had him figured out. Here, Diggs gets his revenge on Darnold on a very similar hook route to the one that he beat him on earlier. Look how Diggs is actually lined up in a sort of zone coverage look with his butt towards the sideline and his face towards the line, and this seems like a perfect opportunity to beat him on another hook route. But right when Darnold snaps the ball, Diggs is going to switch his stance and be ready to jump on this route, and that's exactly what he does. He's actually in better position to catch it than the receiver is, and he does exactly that. And after this pick, the writing seemed to be on the wall, spelling the demise of Darnold for the rest of the year. And sure, the Panthers marched down the field a couple times to make the final score look interesting, but they never really had a chance. The Cowboys essentially rested Diggs for the entire fourth quarter and seemed content running out the clock, as did some Carolina fans. Carolina loses 28-36. Following the loss in Dallas, the bottom fell out for Carolina and Darnold. He won just one more game in 2021 to make the Panthers 4-4 before looking like an absolute disaster in New England and getting benched after suffering an injury against the Patriots. I'm cherry picking here, but it's never good when your head coach says of the quarterback, "We can't keep throwing the ball up in the air." Then again, we can't blame everything on Darnold. Following the injury, neither PJ Walker or a reunion tour with Cam Newton could pull Carolina from their depths. Their only combined win came against a Colt McCoy-led Arizona Cardinals team. So, after going 3-0, the Panthers won 2 of their last 14 for a 5-12 record. Pretty spectacular. So where Darnold's first 3 games were the best of his career from a per-game stats perspective, his last 9 were the worst. The start of 2021 is the embodiment of why Darnold has hung around the league as a tantalizing prospect for 4 years now. The end of this year may be the reality of who he actually is as an NFL quarterback. With the Panthers having traded for Baker Mayfield in July of this offseason, things look to be over for Darnold as their starting quarterback, especially since the franchise selected Matt Corral in the 3rd round of this year's draft earlier. The best case scenario for Darnold is that he can somehow beat out Mayfield for the starting job, but I'd view that as a nearly 0% chance of happening after how everything went last year. Plus, you don't normally spend 2 months in trade negotiations for a quarterback to bench him. More realistically, I think an optimistic perspective going forward would be that he gets some sort of Mitch Trubisky treatment, get the opportunity to go somewhere to quietly recover and rehab his reputation, and then prepare for one last opportunity in a year or so with a team in transition. But if there's one takeaway from this entire video, it's this. Hold on to every happy Sam Darnold smile we get from here on out. There may not be many of them left. Thank you for watching this video, and please enjoy this clip of Matt Rule completely missing a catch and an assistant coach pretending that he actually caught it, while I tell you to please like this video if you did enjoy it and subscribe to my channel so you can see my next ones coming up. Thanks again, guys. Bye.